Hello all, and welcome to the Mimo DeFi podcast. Mimo DeFi, of course, being the #1 decentralized finance application that allows you to access your crypto without selling it. And of course, the Mimo DeFi podcast here is where we're interviewing and speaking with interesting players in the field, getting some opinions, and understanding a little bit more about what the future of this entire ecosystem holds. Today, we have a very special guest, Paul, one of the product managers over here at Mimo. We're going to be talking about a little bit how we work, some of the vision for the product, and we're going to get a little bit, we're going to get into it here. I'm very excited. So Paul,
Awesome.
How are you today?
Hey, I'm really good. I'm really great to be here. I think I quite fall in love with Dubai, and it's been a few times here already. Yeah,
that's right. We are in Dubai. Very, very exciting time right now. So Paul, first and foremost here, kind of just to kick things off a little bit, as a product manager over here at Mimo, what is it that, what are you working on these days?
Okay. Yeah. Well, pretty much the Mimo products, right? So you get the web app, the website, and everything, and then we're working on quite a lot of few things. But pretty much it's just like we try to build the products that people use. Our first product is the web app, so that's why a lot of people can connect their wallet to that's what we say, like you can access your crypto without selling it, and then you can actually, that's like the first product that we want to build, and like for ourselves too, because like
really the most foundational thing to kind of just get in there. Everything else kind of flows from there.
Yeah. So we built a product around like, I want to access my crypto, but I don't want to selling it. Right. So that's kind of the first thing that we try to build, and then like everything else is kind of built on top of this foundation.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So then as far as, we have the Mimo locking feature. Of course, we have all the pools and everything like that as well. So this is all kind of under your purview, kind of figuring out what's the easiest way for people to access these features, right? Because I guess one of the biggest challenges with this whole ecosystem is that it's very confusing for a lot of newbies.
Yeah. So it's like what our protocols want the users to do, and then we the one who try to make it as easy as possible for the user to come and to use, and then that's how we do. We deal a lot with technically how we build it, is it feasible and all those, and then also like how the product looks and feel, and then how it works, like UI, UX, and then sometimes, like in Web3 technology, you can do a lot of things, probably like 99% you can do compared to like normal things, but we have to do it differently from usually the way we used to work. So that's how the team have to learn a lot on like, okay, this is how it works. This is it's possible to build it this way. And if we want, let's say to display something faster, like which technology, how we gonna do? Because because Web3 kind of doesn't have backends anymore, and then we prefer that way because like it's all decentralized, and then we want it to be like really accessible all the time, 24 hours, right, 7 days a week. So that's kind of like how we kind of build the product around on top of this like Web3 layers.
How are you kind of making some of these decisions, right? So as far as the Mimo team goes, a lot of people are hardcore DeFi, right? You're hardcore DeFi. I kind of understand this stuff very, very well. And then you have other people who are more kind of in the past, like with the more fintech, right? And so then kind of migrating over here, I almost feel like that's a big benefit, right? Because then you kind of get the perspective. we're just too deep to understand some of the problems that some people are going to face. How are you making these decisions as far as the UX?
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, it's like a curse, or sometimes it's really like our advantage where we really deep into it. Sometimes we kind of forget that like this thing, like bridging asset, might not be really straightforward for a lot of people. And sometimes when you really use it every day, you kind of forget that it's like, it's not that easy. So you kind of have to balance it's a little bit, but it also depends on like who, like we have our web app, and then we also have like alpha channel, right? Like alpha.mimo.capital. That's where we kind of release some products, and then to see how the market's using it and all those, and then like learn from it a little bit.
Creating that feedback loop, right? Just kind of seeing like how people are using it, where someone's getting tripped up. Interesting as far as, because at the same time, it's the sophistication level of this world is so, the standard deviation there is just so wide.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you know who to actually build for?
Well, like we kind of start from like we want to build this product for ourselves. kind of, right? And then we kind of know that like, well, a lot of people would want to use it too.
If you build a product for yourself, you always have a product market fit of at least one.
Well, but we want like 1,000 and
Right,
if
of course.
it's not 10,000 and stuff, right? Or like 100,000. But then like once you start building it, and then when it become like tangible, when you can show it to people, when people can connect their wallet too, and then start like borrowing par and all those, and then we kind of learn from that. But like from the start, you just need somewhere to start. But then also like the goal is to bring the DeFi to as many people as possible. Therefore, you just kind of have to also educate them, or maybe like they just have to bring them into the journey of like, hey, this is how it works. This is for someone really new, like this is how you set up your wallet. This is how you take care of your assets, and then this is how it's a concept. I'm pretty sure it's also probably pretty new to someone who going to to borrow money from a bank as well. Maybe it's not as straightforward as like, well, you have to do all the paperwork. You have to understand like this is your collateral. This is how much you borrow, and then this is how they calculate like all the interest and stuff, right? This is like we just bring it into a digital world, and then we have this smart contract doing all the work for us. But our job is like to show them and to get them to understand this is how it works. This is how you're gonna be able to use it, right? And then benefit from it.
I believe it's critical for everyone to understand kind of just what is actually happening at the foundational level, right? Because or else we're going to end up right now. Things are just so abstracted. You go to the bank, you do that loan and everything. What the heck is happening behind the scenes, right? Where's the money flowing? What's actually happening? And then we end up with, crises like in 2008.
Well, yeah, this thing is like a smart contract or like smart contract where for some people who don't read the code, or who maybe like don't care or don't have like capability, this is probably looks like a black box, right? And then the front end is actually where we build the things that they can kind of understand. If they click this, or if they call this function in smart contract, it's gonna do this for them, right? And then that's kind of like the layer that you have this kind of like a magic working like code, and then we have this layer of this is how it's gonna work, and this is like what you should do to do like to achieve something that you want.
How abstract do you see this getting? Right. I mean, right now, Mimo as it stands is like you're right there on chain interacting with the money and everything. At some point, is it going to be maybe a different kind of interface? Mimo is on the back end kind of handling all of the on-chain interactions, but you don't actually have to interact with MetaMask. You don't actually have to be manually inputting your values and everything like that. I mean, do you have any take on this?
Well, I think the layer is still there. Like you have smart contract where it's supposed to do things the way we input it in, right? And today you can interact with it directly, right? You can just put all the things, and then you send the transaction there without any UI or
your
UX,
job itself
right?
is already an abstraction just from the actual contracts themselves.
So what we try to do is like, to bring it to as many people as possible, just to make it really nice and easy for the user to see what's going on, and to understand what they're going to do and what we have done and all those things, right? That's kind of thing. Like if you put your collateral there and then you mint like par, you want to know, well, how many pars you have, and then how many par you have to pay back, or like what is your collateral locked in there, how many Mimo you're mining, and all those things is kind of displaying into one place. I mean, you can do that with like looking at the code or looking at the blockchain too, but like, right, it's not that
to many people.
Yeah.
It's going to be talk about low usage, right? I mean, at that point you're dealing with the hardcore kind of nitty gritty people that are even bothering to look at the code, right?
Yeah. And like this blockchain world, like you have like EVM, Ethereum virtual machine, and then you have different kind of chain as well, and then it worked really sometimes really differently, right? And then like you try to give the user like the easiest way to use. Let's say like if you add another chain that is not like EVM, like how is that work and stuff, like maybe you can go and try to learn, or we can just build the interface layer where looks and feel the same or really easy that you can understand and use it.
So this actually kind of reminds me of an interesting idea. Has there ever been a case so far where something just in the industry kind of changed and it almost changed course of your direction?
Well, I think the industry change all the time,
right?
And then, but the user behavior kind of have to kind of change over time because people kind of, if there's new things, people come in and then they're adopting. They still learn. I don't really see or don't really feel there's like a thing that's where like it comes and then tomorrow like everyone change the way they do. But I think the cool thing about this industry is like it's open and people can come up with ideas or products and then they can present to everyone, right? And if you have a good product or like a cool things, I think people are gonna like adopt.
And if you have a solid product that's not really at risk to just entire kind of liquidation and stuff like that, then you know that it's you can stay on one course. Rather, you can kind of just keep a steady direction other than having to just chase fire after fire and having to like, whether it's maybe catch on another trend or just have to fix something when something else goes haywire and then it kind of cascades down to everyone else. Interesting.
I think especially in this kind of like the product that we're in, like we want to take care of our asset, right? We want to make use of it or maybe like really earn from it and all those. And then that's kind of one of the core idea that people wants to achieve with the products. And then also I think equally important is like they want to be safe with their asset. So like if you borrow something, even like, you know, like on leverage and stuff, like how you gonna be safe about all of this. So I think there's like two balancing thing that if you have an asset, of course you want to benefit from it, like holding it or using it and all those, and then also like make it safe for you. So I think that's like two really important things for the industry.
And making it safe. So actually this is kind of interesting because it's the whole thing is obviously runs itself in a way, right? Liquidations and the arbitrage, everything kind of just works by the markets moving. It's up to you to make sure that it's easy for us to be able to liquidate, or else the whole thing can go a little haywire. Right. I mean, if the markets are moving in such a way, if the whole function of keeping the thing sound isn't there, and it's almost like, do you prioritize that at all? Like which kind of side of the protocol to kind of keep most protected, for example?
Yeah, well, you have to do both because that's the whole protocol, how it works, right? Like you need to be able to liquidate or maybe like just to protect you from liquidations, right? So like we're working on
making it
few
easier,
things.
For example, like just the chart. I mean, just the chart that shows like your liquidation price and everything, like super, super tiny little feature, but immensely helpful for so many people, right? I mean, everyone in the Telegram was, I remember it was one of my favorite features. I was like, oh, great. Now I can just like log all of my liquidation prices and make sure that I'm not going to get wrecked anytime soon.
Or even some ideas like, you know, like you have like your collateral that it's keep like it moving in price. Maybe if you can change your collateral, or maybe you can have like, you know, like in stock market, like circuit breakers that is like stop you from liquidation and stuff. But
this kind of helps us figure out which.
And also I think that you like the user also like is a learning process on like, oh, you borrow money, if you get liquidation, you actually keep your like your money that you borrow, right? And then it's just like your collateral that's a decrease. But then that kind of the things that also the product is supposed to guide the user to audit.
We don't want people to get liquidated.
We don't want for sure.
It's there for the purposes of just keeping everything secured. But and of course, it's since there's no one kind of governing the whole thing other than the decentralized community, it just has to be whatever the market kind of decides here. Very cool. So let me kind of switch gears for a second here, because we're talking a lot about kind of how you're making decisions and how you're making decisions and how we're deciding on what features to build and kind of who we're what we're allocating priority to and everything.
Right.
It's going to sound a little basic here, but I'm just going to spit out a couple words here. How do you work?
How do we work? I think that it changed a lot. It changed all the time. I think it changed with the team members. It changed with like what we try to achieve, and then it changed with like priorities. I'll probably like give you a story, right? Like probably 2-3 years ago, the basic concept is we want to get the work done as quick as possible and as like consistent as possible, right? And consistency also the key. Like we don't want to like push people like for let's say like 10 days and then they burn out for the next like 20 days,
Right,
those
right.
kind of thing, right? So you want a consistency as well, but then you also want to be kind of like agile or like flexible enough to keep updating. So like one of the things, like let's say we used to do a grooming. A grooming is like, well, you have this, well, we do like a ticket based on like we have this thing we want to get done, and then it's like contained in one ticket, right? And then like we supposed to know like this is the goal, this is all the scope, right? So we used to do these things grooming, meaning like which one is more priorities, which one should we focus on, and all those things like on a weekly basis, right? So you can imagine we have like maybe 10, 20 items, and then we kind of sort them in like prioritization orders. And then we try to, of course, get the first one first and all those things. And then if you do it on a weekly, let's say like Monday, so you start your week and then you try to see like which one you try to do. We changed that quite a bit because I think as things change all the time, and then sometimes this thing is more important during the week, maybe like 2 days is already changed the priorities.
Interesting.
Right? So
yeah.
we kind of chop it down into like a daily grooming things, right? So
I mean, the case in point here is that I wanted to record this on Monday and or Tuesday, and we requested that we take it a little bit later in the week just because everything is going to start moving at the beginning of the week. It really is. You're, I mean, you know, any typical, I don't know if you're in Silicon Valley or something. I mean, your sprints, excuse me, look a little bit more like, I mean, almost like quarterly, right? I mean, you're kind of releasing a version every. It's not as quick as DeFi simply because of the nature of, like you say, by the middle of the week things change.
Yeah. I think it's a type of like companies and type of things too. I think we kind of opt in for a bit like more flexible. But I think like you can do a really good job planning stuff, right? Like make it really detailed, like you know exactly what to do, and then you can plan it for maybe a month ahead, and then you have every day or every week you try to do those things. We used to do that too, but then like we kind of change ourselves a little bit into like we chop it down into on the daily basis, right? We used to have this concept of like stand up, where you stand up because you supposed to not talk too long on every day, just like what you're working on, what's your problem is, like do you need help and stuff. We kind of replace it with like grooming, which is more on like prioritization, which one we should do first, like all those things. This is because sometimes you get to work on, and then it's kind of new things too, because some of them is not like out of the box that you have like a library or you have a lot of things like already exist. This is like new things. So when you start working on, you're gonna find like, oh, this is not possible, let's do it this way, and all those things. So that's kind of like, that's why we kind of shorten it from a weekly basis thing into like a daily, because like you're probably gonna work on something today and you might find like a roadblock, or like, oh, you found another way to do it even faster. Like, and it's not like a week thing anymore, it's like half a day thing. Right, so that's kind of like, that's why we do it, and we shop it in a daily basis, where we meet for like maybe 15 minutes max, and just like, hey, this is what we do, this is what I found, and then this is like what we're gonna do. And then all the people, sometimes, well, not sometimes, like a lot of times we run into problem, we run into a lot of things, but like because of that person didn't know, but the next person actually already done it, so it's like a bit easier to keep moving in that way. Yep.
What does the grooming process look like?
Well, it's so it's still really same concept. You want to know what is the most priority things that you like that the team should focus on. Maybe there's like 2-3 things at the same time, or maybe there's the only one things that we want to achieve in like these coming days or weeks, right?
And is that decided by kind of just, is it, so I'm wondering, I mean, say that we have, say there's like a feature that like everyone's kind of pulling off right now in DeFi, we have to kind of just like jump on the wagon, right?
Yep.
Versus something that is a little bit more unique to Mimo, and something that, I don't know, another feature that kind of makes sense for us that doesn't, you know, it wouldn't quite, you wouldn't find it in any other DeFi apps. How are you making that decision?
Well, so we always want to solve problem for the user. Like I think the whole goal is like you want to access your asset without selling it, and then also be safe. So
it's very important to just keep like the North Star in mind. It kind of just like drives every other decision.
Right. And then I think the measurement we see ourselves is like our TVL, right? So like that's kind of like the whole things about our products. If more people use, probably it's gonna show up a lot on the TVL. So that's kind of like what we're looking for. But then the product decision is kind of around this thing, like how you access your asset without selling it, and then how can you be safe using it. So a lot of things that we design and then we prioritize it, or any ideas is kind of come around this kind of like goal. Right.
Very cool. I like it. So, and then as far as what are the, what's your stack look like? I mean, I'm kind of honestly just curious. I know you guys love Figma.
Oh yeah. For the design, we use Figma. We also use like Sketch and stuff as well. So anything that help us like do the design. On we use React Native. Right. So because it's pretty good stack for us.
That's a new landing page built on that as well.
Landing page also built on top of that. Our web app, our mobile app, and anything if we want to build are probably gonna fit into this thing. We try to minimize what right now we kind of zero backend. Mean in a way that like we don't run our own server and stuff. We just try to like do everything on the Web3 on the decentralized layer. Yep, and that's how we work.
Very cool. Well, I'm almost about ready to wrap up here. What do you think?
Sure.
I've got one final question here for you. Tell me, 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah. What's Mimo look like?
Oh, it's really long. But I can tell you
I know everything. Literally, so much to change in like next month.
Yeah, look back like 5 years ago.
Right.
And combine to this, it's like totally different. Thing, right? I really want to see, or I think this is gonna happen anyways. That like more and more people are like around here or around the world gonna be using like Web3 or this technology.
Just much more kind of widespread.
Much more.
Everyone's going to homogenize onto it.
You probably don't even know that you're using it.
Exactly.
It's like email things or those. And it doesn't mean like banks and stuff gonna die. I think it's just like email. You're kind of replacing like messages or those like that.
What if it's like fax?
Faster. Or
fax did kind of get replaced almost, right?
Yeah. I mean, like you still go to post office.
True. Right. Someone told me that they can send that they're sending
it's different kind of use case.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then they'll probably evolve into different kind of use case. But I think that's the one thing that we will probably do is like you can use your asset, your money and everything a lot more efficient, right? Because I think in a way your money kind of still really like geography based, right? You have like, you know, like AED here, whatever US dollar, euro and stuff, and it's pretty kind of in one location and stuff, right? And then I think if you're coming into this layer, it's much more freedom in a way that you don't have the constraint of thinking of, oh, I'm in Dubai now, like I cannot use this asset or those, but that's gonna be about.
I'm already seeing it, right? Like I swipe an American card and they ask me which currency, and I'm just like, Bitcoin, obviously, right? I mean, just let's use this as standard.
I think that's where we're heading in the next 5 years. And also another concept I think it's gonna be pretty cool is like, if we can make these things maybe layer 2, layer 3, 4, 5 and stuff a lot better. All your transactions, like right now, a lot of I think everywhere in the industry you pay per transactions, right? You pay transaction fees, you pay a lot of those. I think it's probably gonna go into more like a direction of like now you pay subscription for your like internet and stuff. Those kind of things, right? You don't think about how many transactions you're gonna do or those money. Kind of thing. I think it's probably going toward that direction, which is quite nice because you just like, you know, pay for everything and then you fee for use. I think the technology gonna unlock that, and I think that would be pretty cool to get to see how or what kind of products gonna build on top of this kind of concept, because it's a new concept, right? Yeah, like right. If you send me money now over whatever wire transfer or even like crypto, you still pay per transaction.
Right.
I think for next 5 years we'll probably come up with
other than like if
really
we
cool.
had a pool, like you and me, and then it was almost just whenever we go out to eat or whatever, no one has to kind of pay each other. We just have, if we're almost streaming, we're streaming the value there.
Yeah, or like imagine your subscription, let's say like $1 a month, and then you can probably like trade as much as you want. You can send as much money as many times as you want, and all those things. I think it's gonna be something that like that concept is. It's gonna be pretty cool.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Paul, what do you think I'm missing?
Oh, I think, well, I can always come back. And
I do think we're gonna need
Yeah.
a couple more episodes at some point here. I have not extracted everything out of that beautiful mind that I want to just
it's
yet.
fun. It's fun to be here.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up for now. And everyone, look, thank you very, very much for listening to the Mimo DeFi podcast. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review if you found this helpful. We have a lot more interviews coming up. It's going to be very exciting. And be sure to visit mimo.capital and check out some of Paul's work. And
Please.
Any feedback, we'd love to hear about it in the Telegram.
Yep. Check out alpha.mimo.capital as well if you want to see like latest before official release. We do release some of the feature functions that we think it's gonna be cool. And then you can get access to it before we do the release.
Very cool. Yeah, I do like to play in alpha and make sure that a lot of the alpha features come out on Polygon. Is that right first?
Well, it depends. It depends
Okay.
on feature and stuff. But do be mindful. It's not officially released
It's
yet,
alpha for a reason.
So you have some risk, but you're gonna get access to newer things before everyone else.
Very cool. Well, Paul, thank you very, very much. Everyone,
you.
we will see you on the next one.
All right. Thank you.
So long.